to an ongoing process of improvement, using analytics to make smarter business decisions and prescribe effective engagement. My name is Marilyn Cox, and I am the marketing principal within the Oracle Marketing Cloud's Industry Solutions Center of Excellence. You can see here my contact information. If you have any questions regarding the best practices or use cases defined in today's presentation, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to chat and answer any of those questions that you might have. So there's a big word in the life sciences industry right now, and it's a big word said a couple different ways: multi-channel, omnichannel, cross-channel. Call it what you want, but it all really means the same thing, and it's a challenge. It is this unrealistic expectation of perfection. Communication channels are multiplying, and you're tasked with communicating a consistent value message across email campaigns, direct mail campaigns, print and digital ads, social media, websites, blogs, events, press releases, partner and patient portals, and on and on and on. And with that comes this multiplication of audiences. You have physicians and pharmacists and payors and patients and KOLs and POLs and policymakers. And each of those individuals has a sphere of influence that's often very hard to define. And you need to communicate across all of these channels and to all of these individuals while remaining compliant. But this is also where you have a tremendous opportunity, because you can now set yourself apart. For the longest time, you've had to fight for time with HCPs and fight for the attention of payers and patients. But now these multi-channels are providing that visibility. They're really providing organizations with an opportunity. So let's take a look at some organizations that are leveraging this multi-channel evolution. And the first one that I want to touch on is Boehringer Ingelheim. It was recently published about some of the success that they've had leveraging social media. Boehringer Ingelheim had historically conducted these roundtable discussions that were very effective, but they recognized that there was probably an opportunity to extend the reach of these roundtables by possibly leveraging tweet chats. So they, using the hashtag #ChatAFib, conducted tweet chats and had 35 individual contributors. That included healthcare providers and patient advocates, healthcare journalists, and pharmaceutical company representatives. They reached over 200,000 Twitter accounts during this conversation, and they also saw a lot of retweeting, including accounts such as Atrial Fib UK and different medical experts. And they ended up gaining over 200 new followers during this discussion. So I'm sure, though, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, how did Boehringer Ingelheim do this and remain compliant? So I always will preface with, I think company culture definitely plays a role in the amount of risk that an organization is willing to take. However, in this instance, BI made sure that they engaged their compliance organization from the very beginning. And they sat down and they defined a series of what-if scenarios, and then for each of those developed a contingency plan. So they prepared for issues that might conflict with regulations. They answered questions such as, what happens if someone mentions a specific product? Or what happens if someone mentions a specific side effect? What happens if misleading medical information is presented? What happens if off-topic discussions are initiated about a company or its products? And then working with the compliance team and creating these contingency plans, BI was able to go into this initiative feeling confident that they could drive the positive engagement that they were looking for, which they did, while also remaining compliant, which they also did. Now, of course, social media certainly provides a great opportunity to engage and interact with your audience, but it can also provide a great platform for testing different messaging and different marketing ideas that you might have. In this instance, ASO recognized that there was an opportunity for increased awareness. They had done a brand awareness research study, found that their awareness numbers weren't exactly where they wanted them. So they developed a social media character, and they used her in their social media contest. And so through focused and consistent social media communication, they increased their Facebook fan base by over 600%, their liked posts by over 4,000%, and their shared posts by over 15,000%. So certainly it was a successful social campaign across Facebook. There's a lot of dispute back and forth in the marketing community over how you should measure social success. These were tangible numbers that they were certainly able to look at and evaluate, but what they found particularly effective is the fact that because they were seeing engagement, this was a campaign and a marketing character that they were willing to invest in further. And so this campaign now extends beyond social media pages, and it's made its way into all of their digital programming, such as advertising, public relations, event execution, sampling, corporate communications, media buying, and promotions. And the brand has really attributed the social media program, along with their advertising, to the brand's awareness growth from 39% to 55%, which outpaced their competitive set by over 10%. Now, of course, the orchestration of channels generates not only new opportunity, but it can also reduce unnecessary spend. So PerkinElmer enhanced a traditional marketing channel by orchestrating the assets into a more comprehensive multi-channel marketing program. In this instance, they took a look at their events and they pulled together email invites, confirmations, reminders. They created an event website with hypersites for event information and a registration form with processing steps into an event module they had within their marketing automation tool. They also created internal team forms for the event day attendee check-in and a sales team promotional flyer for ordering. And by analyzing the internal team real-time reporting through this event module and evaluating contact custom object field reports, as well as dashboards, they gained greater visibility into the effectiveness of these event programs. And through this program, they actually reduced unnecessary events. They increased attendance to premier events and in the end saved $345,000. And I think it's important to point out that just because you identify areas to eliminate spend doesn't mean that you necessarily lose that from your budget. It provides a great opportunity to reinvest in other areas where you're starting to see positive traction. So just think about where can you reinvest. Now, stem cell technologies recognized an opportunity when they realized that there were communication channels that were not effectively tied to their marketing and sales program. They conducted this extensive channel audit, and when they came out of it, they realized that they only had 3 lead sources included in their multi-channel marketing. So, through the use of digital tools, they now have 21 different communication channels, like live chat, for example, that feed into their demand generation. And by expanding the inclusion of these channels, they could better align with sales and they could better improve their opportunity scoring. And as a result, they've really improved alignment, productivity, and then now they have this greater insight into their marketing communication effectiveness. But, companies that tie together all the right channels sometimes still struggle with reaching their desired audience. So whether you're trying to reach patients or the C-suite, content really is the code breaker. I always say that technology allows you to facilitate, but it's content that really allows you to engage and interact. And in this instance, Optum cracked into the C-suite through smart content marketing. They've achieved what a lot of organizations struggle with, and they've successfully engaged with the C-suite. When launching their new accountable care solution, they revamped their content marketing efforts. And by identifying and mapping their content journey, Optum is connected and engaged with key decision makers by delivering the information that they are most interested in. And they've done this using a smart form strategy. So by developing a unified content journey consisting of 6 pieces, Optum established themselves as a trusted advisor in the arena of health reform. They've also focused their content efforts. So they've targeted their content on organizations that were chosen by Medicare to participate in its Pioneer ACO pilot and its Medicare Shared Savings Program. These efforts actually resulted in a 700% improvement in sales accepted leads. Now, through all of this, you'll probably still have that lingering compliance voice in the back of your mind. And while the majority of you have compliance processes in place, some companies are actually going a step further. So Thermo Fisher Scientific developed a marketing center of excellence to not only enhance their marketing efforts in return, but to also meet the strict compliance regulations that they were tasked with. So they've developed, documented, and automated governance around privacy policy, global email policy, data standards, digital brand guidelines, and reporting standardization across their divisions, groups, and corporation for proper analysis. Life science organizations are finally obtaining that data insight to make smarter business decisions. And by capturing and analyzing an individual's digital body language across all channels, companies can not only develop that sought-after universal profile, but they can also understand things like cost of recruitment efforts, cost of acquiring new prescribers, the cost and effort to convert prescribers from one decile level to the next, and the effectiveness of their communication outreach across different regions. Companies can also begin to understand sales rep revenue potential. So you can see which reps are not only driving the most revenue, but are also the most engaged, which reps have the greatest potential to grow revenue through prescriber prescriptions, as well as converting decile prescribers, and which reps are generating the greatest return on investment. So in short, you can identify which reps to invest in. Through the development of this strong content like we saw with Optum, and the unification of digital channels like we saw with Stem Cell, and really that focus on data forensics like we saw with Thermo Fisher, companies can grow revenue and they can reach hard-to-see HCPs and KOLs. They can empower sales to engage with the right prescribers and payors at the right time with that right message, and of course using the right channel.